In 1990, two important articles were published. The first was in the Journal of MIT's Sloan, and it's titled The New Industrial Engineering, Information Technology and Business Process Redesign. It was written by Thomas Davenport and James Short. Also in July of 1990, in the Harvard Business Review, Michael Hammer published the article, Reengineering Work, Don't Automate, Obliterate. Now, these articles formed the basis of what came to be known as reengineering. And although they didn't mention Toyota or Lean by name, I believe these articles and the books that followed them really strengthened Lean thinking and expanded upon its ideas. So for example, they talk about using information technology to create cross-functional customer-driven processes, the empowerment of frontline staff to have access to data to make more decisions, the idea of putting the decision point where the work is performed and to build controls into the process rather than build an overhead hierarchical structure of control. Taking advantage of digitized data to remove old geographic constraints, linking parallel processes continuously using information technology rather than hoping things integrate properly at the end, capturing information once and at the source, avoiding extra handoffs and overly specialized and fragmented roles by using the concept of the case manager who is empowered to handle all aspects of a case from beginning to end. Now, they probably didn't use the term lean because the book by Womack and Jones called Lean Thinking didn't come out itself until 1990. But in articulating the idea of end-to-end and simpler processes, they added the growing capability of IT to the mix. And they also extended the idea of the application of Lean beyond manufacturing and into service sectors. To this stream of thought, what was called reengineering, we can now add the developments in artificial intelligence and robotics. There are, in my opinion, four major evolutionary branches or streams in process excellence. One is traditional process thinking, with its paradigms around batches and inspection, command and control, hierarchies, division of labor, etc. And it still exists all around us today. I guess old habits die hard, and this school of thought is currently about 200 years old at least. And it's an open question, really, how much longer it will hold sway over some or many organizations. The other three streams, which I call sort of the progressive branches of process excellence, if you will, are lean flow, process analytics, and reengineering. And I believe they're complementary. I don't think it's a question of one or the other. I think as well, these are not tools, nor should they be thought of as approaches or systems that's owned by any one guru or consultant. What I call process analytics, if you'll recall, has its roots in the scientific management tradition of people like Taylor and Gilbreth and others. It was refined on and built on and developed by statisticians such as Fisher and Schuhart, and their work informed the operations research and quality philosophy efforts that were catalyzed by the Second World War. The Toyota production system that we now know as Lean was in fact a very dramatic break from what the traditional process thinking approaches were represented by Ford and GM and others. And I think created a school of thought, Lean, that is the complete opposite of traditional process thinking. No batches, no inspection, empowerment of the front line, and a very different role for leaders. Leaders as coaches more so than controllers. The potential of the end-to-end value stream of Lean, I think, has been transformed by the possibilities of information technology. Tools such as leveraging the potential of cloud computing, artificial intelligence, blockchain technology, etc. I think reengineering in many ways has now become truly possible in a way that Michael Hammer and Thomas Davenport and others could only dream of. But I think the principles and the mindset of writers like Hammer and Davenport and others, I still think is central. It's not the technology per se, but how they're applied to end-to-end value streams. Process analytics, about 10 to 20 years ago, I think was largely identified, incorrectly, I think, but understandably with Six Sigma. I think Six Sigma's toolkit is relevant, but it's by no means all that there is in process analytics. And I think especially today now with the generation of big data, of larger and larger real-time data sets from people and from process, of learning machines, et cetera, I think offers transformational opportunity in process analytics. In my view, the central spine, if you will, of progressive PE thinking continues to be that of the idea of end-to-end customer value streams designed and run using the principles of Lean. I think what Lean does as the central spine is it helps to ensure that we focus information technology and analytics on these end-to-end customer-focused value streams, and also ensuring that the human potential is not wasted. I think these principles are not just tools and technology, but are very importantly about behavior. And I think that's important to remember as we summarize and wrap up these videos, is that there's analytics, yes, and technology and tools, but I think the big element here is thinking about how people work together and how they're organized and managed. And so with that, we'll wrap up our brief tour of the evolution of process excellence and into these schools of thought.